You got me.
I was on the, you're the only one that. Well, Bill got it, I got it. Oh, wait, Bud's on there too. Are you getting the emails with that? Email?
Yeah, so-
Nick, periodically.
You're at the.
Oh, you had a deer?
Yeah. First year that they all meet with the builder.
I didn't know he was involved in the ambulance. Dave Williamson.
He's involved in the county group.
Oh,
Slow down. That's what I mean, guys.
well, I disagree with him.
Yes. How long
He
will
should
it
move
take?
here and put it over there.
That's the state limits.
You know, have the keys. I did a little work on this. And we are one of the quickest responding. It's almost a set every record around. Am I correct on that? In Williamson, they had a kid laying on the ground in a game. Soccer game, I believe. And it was 26 minutes. Somebody was holding the child in there, securing his
Well, no,
hands.
and I'll talk about it more. No, they insist they're not going to take over any funds. But, and I'm sure that's their plan. I mean, I believe them, but if you're making $17 an hour and you can go somewhere else for 23 plus something retirement, you don't have your head on straight if you don't go, don't go eventually. But that could be 5-10 years away.
Well, that's the thing, until it's operational, they want to know that we can continue
Just
to
because you
do.
say something.
Fast ferry.
Yeah, right. Cities around the Tennessee River.
I'm saying, how many of our tax dollars in the state that are still go towards that project? Oh.
With the guy that did that, that was such a.
Bill Johnson.
And that has been such a good thing.
That
They
was one of
never
those-
planned it because the truckers loved it, but there wasn't any place to put the trucks. And that would pay for it in no time. They had no plan, they just did like this.
Yeah, I know a company that makes them, or could make them. We've got blankets at home with silver waters insignias on it that we used for gifts one year. Yeah.
What I need for this.
Well, I'll get you one across your lap, nice and fuzzy. Just don't wash anything white with it until it's been washed a couple times, because it won't be pretty. Well, it might be pretty. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Right, could you stand for the pledge of allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're only waiting on our counselor to show up to the best meeting. Somebody just pulled into the parking lot. So
Could be bad.
maybe it's him. First order of business is to approve the minutes from the November 17th regular meeting.
So move.
Anybody want to second it?
Yeah, I'll second it.
All in favor? All right, and then to approve the minutes from our November 7th workshop.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Favor?
Aye.
For your last round.
Yeah, you never sit on this side, you might as well do that.
I know,
Sorry about
yeah,
that.
All right, this is the last time you come to a meeting late here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, fire me. Every second.
All right, for my report, the White Birch revetment, White Birch Ready project is being worked on. The revetment itself is about 50% done. Today, they did pull the pipe across the entire park, from west to east. There are 3 manholes that need to be put in and connected to that, as well as 5 different laterals that need to get connected to that over the next few weeks. They're hoping to be done by the end of the year, but personally, I doubt it. And it's gonna slow down now that we have actual snow. So we'll see, but they're working along pretty well. Progress has been good, so. Our lake level is still low. We're up a little bit from last month. The 6-month average calls for us to be a foot on either side of the long-term average in 6 months. So in other words, nobody knows what we're gonna be. All the other lakes are not well above, but significantly above their long-term averages still. So. The Verizon tower, the pole was actually put up on Monday. I think many people have probably seen it by now. On Tuesday, we got an easement request from RG&E for an easement up the hill. Art and I looked at it. We had a bunch of questions, which finally got answered today. So I've signed the easement for RG&E. RG&E puts a pole at the bottom of the hill and then runs the wire up to the transformer. They own all of that. And that's what they wanted the easement for, was to the trench that the contractor already put in. So now that RG&E has that, the contractor will be beating on them to get that work done. Earlier this fall, we applied for a grant to have our water system evaluated and analyzed. We know that we are losing a significant amount of water that we can't bill for because it's not going through a meter. I received a letter last week that we did not get that grant. So it's the week before, I think. Sharon and I talked to the grant people last week to learn what was missing from our application. We know that this is a very competitive grant. And apparently we made a really good case for our need. But we didn't make a very good case for why we can't raise rates, because that would be another way to pay for it. So we need to talk about that next time. In the meantime, we're looking into other sources. There's a couple other places that we could go for money that Sharon is investigating. And I think we're also going to do an RFQ after the first of the year so that we can better understand what it will cost. We know that the New York State grant money adds significant cost to whatever work you do. There's just a lot of overhead with all of those grants. This grant was for $52,000, so if we could do it for 35, maybe we could find another way to pay for it. So more to come on that, but that's something that I think is important for us to get our arms around as soon as we can. The EV charging station, I think we talked about it last month, that it was going to be replaced. Tracy kept on them, made a special trip here to meet them Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, and it got replaced.
Awesome.
So both sides are now working. Once we hear on the other grant for more EV charging stations, we got to be really careful who we buy from.
Question to that. I mean, I see on the bills we had Helco, people repair on that.
Mhm.
Are they the ones that originally installed it? Or?
No, Elco's been a friend.
Okay.
EV Connect has not been a friend.
Okay.
And there was a bill in there for that too.
Yeah, I did see that. That's why I questioned. I'm like, well, you know, I'm just wondering if somebody that specializes in electrical service, I'm not doubting Helco, but might be more friendlier yet financially.
It could be. It could be. And we obviously have to do a lot more research. Halco seems to be honest, even Connect, not so much.
And that was the state.
Yeah, EV Connect is on the state approved list, as is Halco and many others. And the grant that we got, that's what came out to be recommended, installed that.
Did we get the state feedback on that? Our relationship with,
Yeah, we've let them know,
okay,
they're well aware.
thank you.
On wastewater, we installed local water and sewer service on Walcott Street. They had their partial flume calibrated. They also had their thermometers calibrated. They used the sewer cleaner at White Birch. Fortunately, it broke down again. So they did get in touch with the Village of Sodas, who came down with their sewer cleaner, and they helped clean out the Main Street. Trying to get them to do this on a regular basis so that they don't get called in on a weekend when a plug. Unfortunately, the Village of Sodas sewer cleaner broke down as they finished doing Main Street, so. We didn't write any glib down here for us.
No.
So. Didn't read that. All the meters are read in the water department, and the numbers are in the system. Actually, I think Melanie was working on that today. He did all the monthly samples in the state report. He's been reaching out to other departments. This month he talked to SOTUS about how things run and how things could be better maybe. Kept up on the stakeouts. Worked to get his equipment both winterized and ready for winter. Going to get the man to get an oil change and some new front tires. Got the mixers in the water towers and check those to make sure they were operating. And then he's just pulling us in. Needs some new tools. I'd also like to acknowledge that this is Art's last meeting after serving this village for 27 years. It's our village.
Great.
Didn't realize it was 27.
That's the numbers when we come in front of you in a big way.
There you go. Yeah.
Bill?
The only thing I've got tonight, constant talk has been about trying to find a person or persons to do parking tickets and such downtown. I did have one of the SOTUS PDs come to me and say it might be something he'd be interested in. I said something to David, and apparently David had talked to him before.
Okay,
So we're just kind of moving that way with the season coming. So other than that, that's it.
Yeah, hopefully in January we'll have a job description to share with you.
Okay.
We
Good.
can talk about what needs to happen.
Good.
We do have somebody working on that. This is a holiday month for them. Jennifer?
Yeah, so I was approached by the owner of the magazine Upstate Summer. They're going to be doing a series of articles showcasing the South Shore of Lake Ontario. He asked me to circulate the pricing for potential collaborative pricing for the businesses in town, as well as the village or Save Our Sodas or anyone related to the village. To take advantage of that, I have these if you want to look at them to see the quality of the magazine. It typically has 45,000 in circulation. So it's a good opportunity for us to showcase the village. We're going to need to enlist help for people who want to write. So whether we hire somebody or we use people in the village to help write the article with the writer for the magazine. But there's discounted pricing for businesses to advertise and showcase them. They're actually Fairhaven's on board as well. So we want to make sure we're well positioned in the magazine. So that's what I have for tourism. Public communications, I have access to our Facebook page, but there's no ability to post. So if you
I'll have
want
to
me
look
to be
into
able to
that.
communicate anything on there, I think the last post was from April of 2021. But I don't have access to post on there. So I tried to send that out to all the businesses. If there's someone that you guys think would want to be part of that advertising opportunity, please let them know. The deadline for committee was good. I did. The Mercantile is on board, Naomi Landy, both of myself with social offers or I have heard from Pfizer, state plan on advertising. But I do have a list of everyone. Yeah, and Dave gave me some contacts as well, so. But I think it's a good opportunity to get a position. I did reach out to the new Hot Points owners and he declined to. Not ready yet.
I think
So,
that's true.
Yeah,
Kelly's still around, so help him, whatever that means.
all right, that's all I have.
All right, bud.
All right, the highway. Obviously, the leaf cleanup is done for the year. 208,000 pounds of leaves. Obviously, they started salting twice already. They're out there right now, getting to my road. And skate rink boards are now up and waiting the liner install. We just acquired that. The sand dune and lake stones is now complete, waiting for some finishing touches in the spring. In the meantime, we're working on servicing items for highway as well as parts. That's about it for them. I didn't get the ambulance one because we have a printing issue.
All right. Lori?
I have a real simple one. We still have no issue, no information on that I know of on the grants that we've submitted for more electrical stations. I did hear from Emily Roth after I spoke to her, I think that's her name, on the benchmarking, and they're putting someone else in that position. We should get something on that and in January sometime. And I contacted her. She's supposed to contact me after Thanksgiving. I've gotten some information from Bill in regard to the highway, Route 14, traffic calming, and Tracy's gonna set up a meeting for January. The parks were off for Christmas, Christmas season, and we'll start again. I believe it's January 6th, and it's going to be here at the Village Hall if anybody's interested. And I helped with Santa Claus and the float. And so that's pretty much it. And I didn't think I'd done anything, but I guess I did a little.
Yep, thank you. Kevin is celebrating his father's retirement in Walworth tonight with community. So for his report, he issued 3 permits, generated $430 in fees. All his training for the year is complete and more. Public comments
Are you in the room?
in the room first.
Denise Bodie, I live 86 Great Street, full-time resident. I have 2 comments. First comment, I came to the organizational meeting last December 5th and was very disappointed that there was no trustees here. I just find that disgusting. That's comment number 1. Comment number 2, I'm in support of getting a new ambulance. I am a community board member for the ambulance. We've had a lot of issues with the present ambulance mechanically, so we went, I don't know how many weeks without an ambulance, and we had to borrow one. And I think now is a good time to do that, especially since supply chain, if we waited, it may take us 3 or 4 years to get another ambulance. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room?
Bruce Evener, 8405 Bay Street, full-time resident. Let's be honest, our residents are aging. Stack's no longer around. We need our ambulance. We need it reliable. So please, please.
Anybody? Guy?
Well, I'm sorry, Guy Beretta, resident of Stowers Point. I had been on the board as a committee representative for STAC, or for Silver Waters. I had contacted both Pam Hellman's office and John Catco's office during the year, asking if there was any grant money available for the ambulance, and they both said there was that. Pam Helming was kind enough to say that there is always special interest money that they could have discretion over spending. And her comment was, have somebody from the office contact her, give her an idea of what the plan is, and she could look ahead and find monies, hopefully either in 2023 or 24 or 25, whatever is needed, but to start getting that idea out to her now rather than as we get closer to the day that we need it.
Thank you. Lyle?
Lyle Sugar, Wickham Boulevard, full-time resident. Couple of comments. I am on the ambulance board as a community rep. I made this comment at a board meeting for the ambulance. One of the reasons my wife and I decided to move here, we've had a summer home here for many years, but we decided to move here permanently. The ambulance is one of the reasons we did that. We knew we were aging and we knew we would need good medical care because it was not immediately available here. We knew it was a great ambulance service, so that's why we did it. I want to keep it that way. We do need a new ambulance. This one is aging. We have had several issues with it, as we said before. I did talk to Sharon several months ago about this. I know she contacted Pam Helming. I know Pam has it in her mind what's going on, but I urge you to take a serious look at this. We really do need to upgrade our ambulance. Thank you.
Anybody else in the room? All right, anybody on Zoom, just unmute yourself and introduce yourself, please.
My name's Ron Diamond. I'm Wickham Boulevard, new resident, been here a year and a half. So this young lady right here pretty well. But we're newbies in town, and my wife and I really love it here. So I just thought I'd start volunteer, or not volunteering, but coming to these meetings and see what's going on.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Cool. Anybody on Zoom? All right, thank you very much. We'll close the public
All
comment.
of them are muted. Do they have the capability to unmute?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we move on to new business because there's no old business. The first order of business is our organizational term appointments. Other than dates, there are 3 changes from what we approved last year. Obviously, the village attorney position is open and that's on our agenda to try to fill later tonight. We changed our village auditor in the spring after last year's annual meeting to Nagel Metzger Bar and Company. And a month or 2 ago, we appointed Harold Cheatham as our historian. Everything else is the same as it was before, other than the dates were all updated.
Before we work on this, I'd like to thank the planning board and the zoning board. They completely fulfilled their obligations for training this year and overachieved on it.
Nice.
And it was very well done. And Tracy did a great job of making sure I had everything I needed. So I thank everybody that participated in doing that. That's what's good for the village. So thank you, Bruce and the gang. And Sue can give it to the zoning board, right? Thank you.
We need a motion to approve these.
I move that we approve the list that's provided for all all jobs. Is that what it's-
Current titles and
Current
positions.
titles and positions. Thanks, bud.
Yeah,
Maybe you should make the motion. I'll second.
yeah, what we said.
Is that a second one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll second.
Tracy's friends.
In favor?
Aye.
All right, next is village attorney appointment. Just to remind everybody, we did send out requests for proposal to about a dozen firms. Didn't bring in the exact number. They were both Wayne County and Monroe County firms. We had 4 proposals back. last month, we agreed to interview Matthew St. Martin and Boylan and Code. So we did that in the last couple of weeks. I failed some of you because the Boylan Code interview got scheduled on Friday. I wrote the email to tell you all it was Tuesday, and I never sent it. It was in my draft, so that's why everybody didn't know about it. Bill was able to attend, so Bill Tracy and I talked to them. And Bill, Lori Tracy and I talked to Matt St. Martin. Matt is really taking over Art's practice, not formally taking over his practice, but it's basically a one-man band with a small staff in his office to take care of our needs. Boylan and Code is a larger firm with several attorneys. The attorney that we could be working with is Robert Marks. He's relatively young, has been working for several other villages. He's done eminent domain, section in Article 78 cases. He did, their rates are about the same between the two firms. They're $1,500 a month retainer. There are things that will cost us more money if they do. I think we will spend more money with either because I think it's important that we have an attorney come to some of our planning and zoning board meetings just to help train and keep us on the right track there.
I don't see anything about, what is it, Matt St. Martin? I just see this email from David Howe in the packet.
That was just the updated
That's
information.
that was
but this-
updated.
this has
There's,
been-
you
this has
weren't
been-
here last month. so-
Yeah, I don't have.
No, nobody does.
Oh,
I
to comment.
was here last
Yeah,
month to look at, but
yeah.
I did from it to everybody.
So they're the same price?
they're both $1,500 a month for retainer. There are some differences after that with both the rates and what they charge us for, depending on what we use. It's a little bit more than we pay for art, and I don't, in my term, we've not paid art any extra money.
So with inflation and
for everything.
cost of living, I would imagine it's different, right?
Yeah, and we have very few cases in front of the Sotostown Court, and to my knowledge, we've had no cases recently from any other court. Court cases are what will cost us money.
So why are we looking at this bigger firm then? If that's the case, when we really have a court case, and also it kind of concerned me, you said they specialize in eminent domain. What's the plan going forward there?
I didn't say they specialize in eminent domain. I said the attorney that we would be working with, Robert Marks, has worked on some eminent domain and Article 78 cases most recently. We asked what their recent experience was, and that's what it is.
Well, one of the concerns I had for Matt, and he was a really nice young man, well-written, and the things that I read that he had were very well done. Exceptional in a couple of cases. Is that he didn't have knowledge of the LWRP or how much about them. And he was dead honest about it. I mean, he said, I'm light on that. But he seemed to be strong in code. Is that what I remember correctly? Do I remember that correctly?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing was union contracts. And we are going to be going through a union contract this next year. And he said that he didn't really have a lot of experience with that. My concern would be, my belief would be that a larger firm would have more experts in it to help us in those different things, different topics. But I do have some other concerns.
What I liked about Boylan Code is their experience in updating codes, because if you look at our code book, it is grossly out of date. And it is a big project to bring it all up to date at once. We have poked at it a little bit. I'm hopeful that we'll get property maintenance back early in the new year to be able to act on that. We need a short-term rental code of some kind. If you read the codes that are in our book, they're very outdated, and some of them don't really apply at all.
When I've gone to all these NICOM things and stuff, though, there are always places selling code. I don't know much about them, but if you talk to them, they seem to be highly knowledgeable in it and how to revamp them. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying that they're there.
There's lots of options.
There's lots of options. So wherever you get your best bet on finance, I think is what you need to do. Art, from your experiences being a one-man band, as Mayor said, what would you say about the LWRP for the match?
Well, not, probably isn't fair that you ask because these are the success of my practice.
I know,
But in all
but you're
honesty,
our attorney right now.
And unless we represent a municipality with water, you wouldn't know what it stands for. I know what it was.
That's
because
correct.
Here, we have to deal with it in the village of Newark because of the canal. But
Right.
if you represent any other municipality, you have no clue what the LWRP is.
Well, and he was representing Wolcott, I believe, wasn't he, in Huron? Was it
He
Huron too?
represents Wolcott, not
Wolcott.
Newark.
Wolcott.
You're on this canal.
And I used to represent Wolcott. I don't think they've ever even dealt with the LWRP. They might have it, but they've never. done
Okay.
it, to my knowledge.
How hard, in your opinion, is it to come to speed on something like that?
The LWRP, it's a pot. You just gotta read it. Quite honestly, there's not a lot. It's lengthy, it's outdated, but it's not rocket science. It's like a master plan for the waterfront.
The LWRP is currently the master plan, and I know that from talking to a state representative that it has way more teeth than what we thought it was. It had. Is that, in your opinion, true, or?
I've never had to apply it. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I've worked with it, but we've never had to really do any enforcement issues with it, so I don't know the answer for that.
Okay, thank you.
So I have personal experience with Boylan Code as it relates to building codes in the village of Sodas Point. And I was elected to represent the taxpayers of Sodas Point, and I will not vote for them in good conscience. That's me.
The one thing that I brought up to him, obviously, you can imagine it might have something to do with the ambulance, was just how they were with, having to go to court, that kind of stuff. If there was, how much time they'd spent, with doing that. Didn't really get a lot of answer out of either person. However, they've also got an agency that we've been knocking on wood. When the state was here, that's one thing that they said about Silver Waters is they've had no complaints, no files, no nothing put up against Silver Waters. And that's the same circumstance with the attorneys. I mean, they haven't, nobody's really had anything we've had to do. The most that we've had to do is send information to an attorney on a car accident or something like that, a PCR, patient care report. But otherwise, not much. So I really, listening to the two gentlemen that were here together, they just seemed like they had more on the ball, but I think it's because they have a bigger ball. You know what I mean? And I don't mean to criticize the Arthur's follow-up or whatever you want to call them over in Newark, but that's my feeling.
Matt had a lot of scruples.
Mhm.
And he
Was honest about stuff.
Yeah,
He was
and
upfront.
there's an awful lot to be said for integrity of that nature. Especially when, no offense, Matt is a lawyer here. Well, there are many attorneys in this world that are there for one reason. They do their job, but it isn't always the way you think it should be. And I think hiring somebody with scruples is a good idea.
I think they all have scruples that we talk to. And we don't have
Yeah.
any evidence that they.
I do.
I'd like to point out the fact that, like Art said, it's not that tough to learn the job. And if the guy's smart enough to pass the bar, practice law in New York State, he's obviously, quite intelligent. And I'd rather see somebody that's aggressive in learning that than a bigger corporation with a predisposed notion of what it should be versus what we actually are.
The other thing that was talked about was, if we get a hold of you on a Monday, when are we gonna get some response back in a call? And the answer was 24 hours, the maximum, this kind of thing. Some things need to be returned immediately,
Yeah.
so that's something else we have to be careful with. We don't want to prolong stuff because it's like working with a little kid. You work with a little kid, if you don't nail them right away, they forget after a day or set things back, so.
What is reasonable talk with a lawyer? Is it dependent on what you're doing? Or is it dependent on, with the nature of the call? On how quick it would be?
You can always, and I would like to think I've been pretty good at returning calls, but it depends on what it is. If it's something that call the mayor up and respond and that's it. If it's something that you gotta dig into and research,
Then you gotta wait.
you can let
Right.
the village board know, I'll get back to you, but it might be a day, it might be a week, depending on what the project issue is.
Yeah, because a lot of times when I call Art, I don't need an answer immediately, but when I do, we get it. And some things are top of mind and other things require.
And how often, this is done every year, right?
Your appointments are for the year.
Yeah.
If you don't like
So-
whoever you hire.
I guess that's where I was
Yeah.
going with that.
Yeah, it's an annual appointment.
I'd like to make a motion to go with Martin. I think it's the better fit for our community at this time.
Any second?
It is Martin.
Hard.
Matt St. Martin.
Yeah, Matt St. Excuse me.
I have one question and you're gonna kill me for this, but it's me. Did your wife retire or is she still employed by that? Because I think that should be publicly disclosed.
She's been retired for more than a year.
Has she?
Yeah.
Good for her. Okay. I'll second that.
All those in favor?
No,
Okay,
I'd like the other gentleman.
So, all right, so let's do this. What's your vote? You made a motion. What's your vote?
And I voted aye.
Yes. Lori is
Yes.
yes.
Now, just to
Bill?
state one other thing, I think the firm was really good in a lot of things. I did take some consideration to what I found out.
Mhm.
With Matt, he's willing to work with the planning board on a regular basis, give them everything that they need ahead of time. So if he sees something, he will write up a transcript or whatever.
yeah, that's one of the cool things that he does for, I forget what municipality now.
And he often worked with others. So with these bigger firms, if we need one, they're not gonna turn us away. It's nice to have a representative you trust. But
And I'm sure in his circles, he has learned how to use a phone if he doesn't have a piece of information. I'm just guessing,
okay,
it's,
Okay. Thank you. The next order of new business is the historian report, and it's just a written report from Harold. After he started to look at some things. Basically, he obviously likes plaques and has a lot of ideas for getting some plaques around the village and some of the historic things that don't already have them. And he will continue to work on that. He's saying next year is the 210th anniversary of the War of 1812 in Sodas Point. So that must be part of the war that was going on in 1813. He's also gonna get us some information on the bicentennial, Wayne County bicentennial. So I've asked him for a monthly written report, and he's welcome, obviously, to come whenever he wants. But just so that everybody is aware of what's on his mind. Next is a castle donation, and you have a black and white picture and the address of where it is. Here's some color,
Yeah, here's
here's some color pictures of
the castle.
what it looks like. It's 10 feet tall and 5 feet around, give or take.
If you'd like to see the castle.
Pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
He would like to donate it to the village. He carved it. It is out of willow.
Very good.
Well, that's what we can't figure out. We think it might work better in the county park, and we were gonna refer him to the county if everybody agreed. But if somebody's got a good idea of where it could go, then we can talk about this. New information. And if you want to see it, it's at 7306 Franz Bluff.
It's really cool.
May I interject?
Please.
Is this the castle that used to be on Lake Road?
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah, he used to live in that house.
Yeah.
Oh, the one right
The
on top of
Jane,
the
the
hill.
Jane and her husband bought, and now he's around the corner and down on the lake, by the lake. He's not on the lake.
I think this would be something really great in Foreman's Park or something where they've got lots of room. Our real estate is really pretty tricky here.
Yeah,
I mean, the ideal place would be almost Willow Park, but if I put everything there that I think I'm gonna put there won't be any room
it'd be double
left.
decker. That was,
The other thing is the maintenance on it. What is the maintenance?
well, he said it'll last 5 or 6 years. He fully expects it'll just
Disintegrate.
rot away. And apparently there are some insects in it. It needs to be treated with something. So,
Well, that's special.
well, what people would,
a lot of protein.
Yeah, it's still where else you would put it, other than Little Park, and if that's not part of the new program that you're putting together.
Yeah.
I guess I don't have an opinion. one
I
way or
think
the
it-
The kids might think it's cool.
the kids would think it was cool, but are they gonna
I
be
wondered about, we wondered about beach somewhere.
like a sand can full of?
Yeah. I don't.
You know, there's another point to look at too, is over a period of time, it's gonna deteriorate.
oh yeah.
And when it deteriorates and it starts to fall in a heap, then we're gonna get people pissing and moaning because we didn't
We're
take
not
care of
keeping
it.
up on
Yeah.
that.
So
That
Keeping up
I
on
make a
the-
motion, we pass it to the county.
second,
If that can be done.
It's a beautiful piece, it really is.
it's
I don't-
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Maybe if they give it to the museum or something like that, or one of the county museums.
What's that?
Because
Yeah, I know.
he said it would be fun for.
It does.
Tap picture and, you know.
Yeah,
Oh, your mayor, your name.
So you can tell people like to come.
Yes.
All right, next is the wastewater truck purchase, and I just want to give a little history, and then I'm gonna let Tracy talk, and she knows more about it than I do. But 2 years ago, the board approved a new wastewater truck, pickup truck. It was ordered and never delivered. So the wastewater department finally decided they'd do their homework again and see if they could actually make the purchase. That's how this came about.
Unfortunately, like we said before, the price went up, the price increased by, it was like 8,000 or something, I think. From what.
Yeah, the price is significantly higher. The trade-in is roughly the same from what I recall. I did not look it up. It's a lot of money for a truck that's got a lot of miles left in it.
yeah, the truck only has 46,000 miles. I mean, that's barely broken in. I think we should direct the money to the ambulance fund before we buy a truck for this.
Well, that's-
It's different money.
Yeah,
It's different money, but
Yeah.
we can't go there.
Yeah.
We can't go that way. It's different money. Why is it different money? It's still from the village.
Because the wastewater department is a separate
Oh, from
corporation and the
water.
water department
Yeah.
is a separate corporation.
If it was a highway truck, then yes. But it's-
David, are they upgrading? Are they going to something like from a half to a 3/4 ton, or are they staying with a 3/4? I didn't even look at the paperwork. that Tracy gave.
They tried to downgrade
Okay,
and they're not.
okay.
I move that we do not buy the truck. Now, I know it has to be in the affirmative. I move that we buy the truck.
It doesn't have to be.
Oh, good. I move that we do not, the school district's always made it in the affirmative. I move that we do not buy this truck. I think there's 5 years left in it easily. We may regret it later, but right now, I think we're gonna have a tough a tough year. I think we need to hold on it. And it's not like he doesn't have a truck to drive. And it's not like this village is that big.
The water department, they've got 2 vehicles, right? Pardon, they have 2 vehicles, the van and the truck,
No. The van belongs to the water
the
department,
van belongs to water.
which is a separate department from the wastewater.
Okay.
There's 1 person in water, 2 people in wastewater,
They have a truck.
and they have a truck.
I don't think we need to buy a
The
truck.
wastewater and highway.
Yeah.
That a second.
Yes.
I don't even think it's a motion, we're dropping it. Don't have to vote on it.
Tell him we're sorry, but
Not at this time, right?
when we win the lottery, we'll have it.
Powerball, right?
Right. Next is the ambulance purchase. And there's lots of information. We talked about it a lot. I tried to summarize the information that I had into a couple pages, so I'll just quickly run through that. It's a 210, and all these numbers are approximate, and that
Right.
into making sure we are completely accurate, because I suspect everything changes every day. But it's a $210,000 purchase. Silver Waters has $15,000 or $20,000 to donate toward it. Sodas, the town of Sodas has agreed to give us $10,000 in ARPA funds towards it. There's $26,000, almost $27,000 in village reserves for an ambulance. So there's roughly $50,000 or so that can come off the purchase price. Therefore, we'd be financing about $160,000. Lions wanted 7% a couple weeks ago when Tracy talked to them, and that's about $42,000 a year for 5 years. Republic First, which is a bank recommended by Northeastern, is at a reduced rate and therefore a reduced cost of about $38,000 for 5 years. Bless you. So it's diesel, and to me, diesel always lasts a long time, and I know we didn't have a lot of miles, so I started to do some research on the internet. And most ambulance companies, from what I found, run their diesel ambulances 250,000 miles or so, but that normally happens in 7 or 8 years. We have fewer runs, but our runs tend to be longer. So our ambulance is 10 years old. It's got 110 miles or so on it. And I reviewed all this with Jim Lee, who's the Wayne County EMS coordinator, just to see if he thought that was reasonable, and he agreed. I did that when I met with him, because I wanted to understand better what the county is planning and what is funded and what is not funded. They have purchased 2 ambulances that will be delivered next December, maybe as early as October. They've purchased land at the corner of 104 and 88 that is currently being surveyed and a site plan built, and they're going to build 3 bays and a little office there that will house eventually 2 ambulances and a fly car. The service that they're setting up in the county is to try to fill the holes that exist in the volunteer system around the county. It is not their intention, and I think he's absolutely right, to take over any volunteer or existing ambulance that doesn't want to be taken over. Lions does want to be taken,
And has wanted to be taken over for years.
and they will be
Or-
taken over as of July 1st, 2023 by the county service. Those ambulances will be housed on the county complex until they build a 4-bay garage there. They expect both of those garages to be built by this time next year. Whether that happens or not, who knows? But all that money is allocated by the county board of supervisors. The plan, this part is not funded, is to have a west and an east base, each with an ambulance or two and more staff. And I only have page 1 in my copy, but page 2 talks about how they're gonna pay their staff. And this is where I think eventually we'll run into a problem.
Yeah, I agree.
Because today, out of the gate, they're gonna pay their medics $22, or their staff at least $22 an hour, plus medical, plus retirement. And it's state retirement, it's part of the county. The medics will be making at least $30 an hour.
Paramedics will.
Thank you. I knew that word wasn't right. They need to hire 16 people by July 1st. And they'll be hiring in chunks of 8 to 16. He thinks every 6 months after that until they're fully staffed and things are fully operational. But all that is budgeted and the money approved is for the staffing, the ambulances and facilities for a garage at Lions, a garage in 104, the 2 new ambulances, and then the other 2 ambulances are coming from Lions. Our goal has been, first of all, our response time is great. As I think Lori said earlier, we're some of the best in the county, and that's absolutely true.
It is the best in the county, I believe.
Um,
Am I right on that, Bill?
Yeah, I've got a printout here that you can look at that came from the county.
Yeah.
That David ended up with the county.
Good luck trying to understand it all too.
I just went to the final numbers at the bottom. I know.
So I hear you saying it's competitive and we'll maybe lose the people that we have running the ambulance, if they buy a new ambulance, but how do we make their salaries more competitive so we don't? I mean, if we're gonna make the investment in a new ambulance, why wouldn't we just pay the people?
We could, and we'll get there.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we all have all the same information. Our goal has been to be revenue neutral, and over the last 5 years, we're positive $15,000 or so. I broke out all the years there. Our call volume grows a little bit every year. It grew a lot a couple of years ago, if I remember right.
Yeah, we're at 308 right now as of today again, so.
Wow.
And then where we have, I think, a lot of discrepancy is trade-in value was offered at 15. I think now it's raised to 18. I think some ambulance corps in the county said they would pay 35. I found a used ambulance on the internet for $98,000, which is the same year, different make, same miles.
I was told today that if we put that on, people are making camper movies out of them.
Yeah.
And 50,000 easily, but they would bet more than that.
Yeah.
If you put it in a competitive bidding, it would probably go up.
Yeah, we've had good luck with the stuff we've been to auctions.
Yeah.
Just
And there's other places.
a little input from what I found out.
Yep.
We've got a couple of agencies, one in this county, one in Monroe, that are both interested in it. As of right now, one it's run for bid. One's Eastern Wayne, the other one is one in Webster, and NEQ, the Northeastern Quadrant. Then yesterday I talked with a person from over at the hospital. North Wayne is talking about trying to put a basically a transport ambulance together to take people from their hospital to RGH or their hospital to wherever they had to go. And they too are going to be looking for a used rig to do that with. So, you know, just as a heads up, that's all.
So these places, I mean, we've had a problem with getting parts.
Yep.
For this particular brand.
Mhm.
And once we sell it, we know we're selling it all in good working.
Yep.
So that's not a problem. Have the parts eased up at all? I don't think they have.
No, the biggest issue is the fact that, and one of the things that we have done is with looking at the new ambulances, we went to a gas powered chassis. Mainly because diesels are not available in that kind of a van cutoff style anymore. You can only get them in a pickup truck because they need so much more room for the diesel engine. So we went to gas, which eliminates the DEF, the exhaust fluid issues that we had. It takes that right out of the ballpark.
And that's what breaks.
Yes.
And that's what broke.
Okay,
Yep, we had problems with the front end of it, we've taken care of that. There's no warranty left on it, obviously, at the age of it. The warranty on the new one, is, 3 years, 36,000 miles on the chassis, on the new Ford chassis. It's, 5 years, 180,000 miles on the paint, and it is, lifetime on the structure of the box. But I also do know it's a lot of money. I'm well aware of that. I don't want anybody to think that I don't know that. We've looked for a long time, and I know we don't really need to get into that right now, but,
but we also know that we can't just order one.
Right.
well, yeah, I mean, that's
The
the
return
issue
on
we,
this will be
that's-
ages.
that's, one of the issues we run into now. Northeastern, we've gone to several shows and looked a whole bunch of ambulances over, from a little bit less than this one to one that's 3 times as much. We won't go with anything that high. However, to order after the first of the year, you're looking at a 10 to 20% increase. I say after the first of the year, early spring or whatever, 10 to 20% increase. 18 months to 2 years on just getting a chassis, and then another 1.5 to 2 years to get the build, or to get a vehicle built. The one that they held for us, they held in good faith right now, and they knew that it could very well get shot down. And I don't mean that rudely. I know they're getting a lot of money. If it does, well, it does. However, they knew that going into this, they've held it, but they do need an answer reasonably shortly to know what direction we're gonna go.
Don't we have to put this up for referendum?
Yeah, set for last year.
We finance it.
Yeah.
Not,
Not for the board to decide whether or not to move it forward to that step.
Well, yeah, and you have to also, so if you're gonna move money out of the
Reserve.
reserve, you have to do,
Separate.
So there'll be,
yeah,
so.
we have to first decide, do we want to purchase it? If so, then how are we gonna pay for it? And follow that process.
Mayor, if I may, that's correct. If, from what Bill's saying, they're not gonna wanna sit on a 30-day referendum period, decide if you want it. And then 2, be able to take money from reserve to pay for it in the event the referendum doesn't go through. I've never, 41 years of doing this, never seen one fail. But be prepared to pay cash for it if you have to get that purchased.
Well, I mean,
Now-
that's only 25,000, it's 25,000, it's not.
2680.
it's the same amount as the truck.
We wouldn't be paying. You know, I mean, we
Right.
still need to.
Right, I know,
Finance.
26,000.
Right, and if, and there again, I think if, I'm pretty sure that if Tom Toy knew what direction we were going, and his boss got wind of that, that I don't think that's gonna be a problem holding the 30-day thing. Because that's one of the things they were just trying to,
Yeah.
See where we're
He's
going.
wonderful to
Yeah.
work with, and his whole team.
Yeah.
We do have emails that I think everybody received in their email, both pro and con. So I hope everybody's read them all.
I move that we go forward with the process of procuring the Deemer's Till, is that what that is? T3
Type 3.
2023 Ford 450 MX 164 module gas for 210,000 and setting up the referendum and
Whatever the process is.
It's actually,
a resolution.
well,
Here, you wanna read that here?
because. Right, we all have
You need to
that.
have all that.
Oh, I did see
You
that.
find it in, right, it's like right behind the one that Dave, right, I see it in your hand.
So it's
Right
northeast
there, right here.
on the top corner.
Okay,
Just so you have that.
11,750.
so what's the
Yeah.
resolution that we have to have?
But just dollar amount, total cost right there. just
Okay.
that.
202,500,
211.
211,750.
Subject to permissive referendum.
So,
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
Got that?
Got that?
Yes.
I'll second it.
So Lori made the motion, Jennifer seconded it. Bud,
Aye.
you're in.
I,
So
I
that's
have to abstain.
25,000 that we'll pull from the reserve, 10,000 from the town of Sodas, 15,000.
20. We have 20 that we can take from there. Yeah,
From ambulance.
Yep.
Silver waters.
Yes.
20,000.
and when we,
And
is that
then,
something we should consider our ARPA funds for too?
and then. Didn't go there yet, look into financing for
ones.
Yeah.
Or whatever less.
Yeah, balance.
Age.
And
Thank you, boy. Very much.
No, you folks do a great job. The turnover, I know when Tom was laying on the side of the road, I'm never so glad to see our emergency facilities, and they were there pretty fast.
An aging population.
We have an aging population, we live far away
Well,
from any hospital, and those minutes could make a difference.
David, can I just stretch out a little bit here with you?
Please.
Just some information as to what we're looking at. We've talked with our medical director, because it was brought to our attention that something to seriously thinking about. I'm sorry, I don't want to talk to you with my back to you, that we need to look at. We are right now, we just recertified all of our medics. All the medics are recertified for at least another 2 years. And I assume there won't be a problem after that. The ambulance was just recertified. That's a 3-year deal. The state of New York, when they came in, said they had and I don't know if you've heard this, it was a breath of fresh air to come into our ambulance corps and see how clean it was. And they've had no complaints. They went right down the whole show. We did have a couple of things that we had to kind of put changes on, which was in policies and procedures. They were small changes. We took care of them, sent them back to them. They've accepted them. We move on. But one of the things that has been suggested to our agency, because we are a waterfront community and we do have to worry about Charles Point and the islands and that, is to set up a team that is capable of handling hypothermia better, drowning, near drowning, and that kind of thing. I've talked with Chuck or with the fire department to work with them on water rescues and that. They were all behind, or Chuck was behind the ambulance thing, because he really feels we need it here. It would be called a drown team. And we, like I said, Cynthia Martinez is our medical director. She will be at our little soiree we're doing this weekend. Said she'd like to sit down with us. We already have what's called a hypothermia stabilizer. We have 2 of them, which really all they are is great big fleece sleeping bags. But they're made to put a person in out on the ice or wherever they are, get them warming up, get them into shore, get them in the back of the rig where we can utilize our warming blankets that we have set up on the rig, as well as we're talking about putting a warming system in this that will have a corrugated hose that would come off of a fitting on one of the vents and go right into the top of the sleeping bag to pump in slow, warm air. Medical director thought that was a great idea, and it's inexpensive. It's something we can do as an agency to take care of. Like I said, the biggest thing is we are a vacation community. That was one of the things that was brought to my attention, and it's like, yeah, that's for sure. Response times, I kept telling David that the response times were based on what the Department of Health does. The Department of Health, frankly, I found out, doesn't care what your response times are. But NFPA, who takes care of fire and ambulance, has a general time frame of not over 14 minutes. We are at 11.33 minutes. And that's hands-on. That's when you're on scene. Call time, from when you're notified and you're acknowledged, we're at about 3 minutes and some change. So we're well underneath. And that's got a lot to do with the fact that we have a paid person in-house that answers up right away and gets the ball rolling. The other thing I want to remind people is this situation with the county. I myself think it's a great idea. I really do. And I understand the fact that they are out there to back us up. To come in when we're out busy, or if they're with 104, excuse the killer corridor. But usually they need more than one ambulance. That's what the county's getting set up for, is that backup. However, those ambulances are all going to be answering more than one agency as backup. They're not just going to be, if they're going to be in SOTUS, okay, which the new place is going to be right across the street from Reed Eye Center on the corner of 88 and 104. Ideal spot, major roads to get in and out. I think it's a great idea. I think the Board of Supervisors have spent a lot of time taking care of this. But but it's an easy access to main highways to either go to Newark, to go to RGH, to Strong, that kind of thing. I think that's a wonderful idea, but they will be working with other agencies in the county.
To have an ambulance come from Sodas to here is a long way, no matter how you look at it. And as much as I think it's great that the county's putting this together. I think it's gonna be really hard to beat less than 20 minutes to a call. And that can be life and death.
Well, I'm gonna.
They'll be measuring it, that's for
Oh,
sure.
sure they will, yeah, just what the feasibility, just as feasibility is. One thing I can say, the place that's gonna help immensely, and I'll be upfront with you, is nighttime calls.
Yeah,
Because right now, nighttime calls with not just myself, but anybody, to roll out, if they've got to go to work at 6 in the morning or whatever, to get up and go. When it used to be Myers Community, it was scoop them up, put them in the ambulance, basically roll them out at Myers Community and come back to Sodas Point. An hour later, you were done. Not anymore. Anymore, just a trip to Newark is 2 to 3 hours. So, okay, I'm sorry. I got off on a tangent, but I just a little
that's
information.
okay.
Bill, I appreciate everything you do, and members of the community, I also want to thank you for showing up and voicing your concerns.
Yeah,
Appreciate you showing up.
I think that sounds like a fabulous idea. However, I'm assuming these calls are all gonna go like over an EMS scanner or whatnot.
Yeah.
So my own suggestion would maybe be instead of calling it the drone team
Yeah,
and raising public alarm, is maybe call it like a water drone team.
and that's something, it's very true.
It's
But
true.
that's something we just started this with Cynthia Martinez. She'll be the one to do the naming and the clearing and the training and that kind of thing, or bring people in. And we're just getting started with it, but you're right, that's a little shaky. Yeah, but,
Good call.
okay, I retract that part of the statement.
Let's move on. to
Got it. Got it.
the business. This is a maintenance agreement on the Life Pack and the Lucas, which are two life-saving things in the ambulance. It's almost $2,900 a year in maintenance. I think the ambulance corps might be able to pay half. They don't have the approval yet, so we should approve this with the thought that the value of this contract is $14,250 over 5 years.
and do we have something like this in there now? I mean, this is just.
We've had it all along, it's just coming to be renewed.
Okay,
The power lift that's in there is still underneath its own warranty. But the Life Pack, which is the heart monitor and that, and the Lucas, which is the mechanical CPR machine, are not. That's what we're covering.
Didn't we pay, was it 8,500? Pay half, was it half of it last time? Also, village paid half on the.
I think so. Yeah, and we will. I don't foresee that being a problem, Tracy. We just have to run it through on Tuesday night, and they've already been told that the board has that it's something that
Oh, half the board's here.
it needs to be done. Yes. Boy. Be nice, Lori. More than 3 board members.
oh,
Yeah.
no, but they're at a work session.
We have to remember this when we build their budget.
I make a motion that we pass the maintenance contract for the clear surplus.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Hi.
And Bill abstained. Okay, it's time to pay the bills.
Oh, I would like to meet an executive session afterwards for no more than 5 minutes, for a legal question. That has to do with real estate. Actually, 2 real estate questions.
We're paying the bills.
Okay,
12/1 through 12/51, 90,000, total $90,044.62. General fund, $69,658.03, water, $9,208.35, and wastewater, $11,178.24.
We move, we pay the bills for the shut the lights off.
second.
All in favor?
Hi.
You want to do 5/12?
Yeah. I'd like to schedule an ARPA workshop for January or February, early February, either one, I think it's fine. Part of it, or it'd be nice if we had the results from the playground RFQ, which I don't think the two of you had a chance to work on.
Okay,
Right?
I know she hasn't yet.
Yeah.
I spoke to her today, but not on that, on something else.
So is early February maybe a better choice?
That or the end of January. Because we'll have our meeting the 6th, and I was gonna invite her to that and see if we had it.
Weekend of approval, who watches that?
What weekend is that?
I don't know.
Are we thinking a day?
One meeting is the 19th.
Super Bowl week.
How about February 1st, Wednesday, February 1st?
Okay with me.
Does that work?
What time?
You tell me.
Anytime after like 4:30. Because even my new job, I'm not back, like, then I'll be hanging from a flagpole because the primary kids put me there, but that's beside the point.
Bud, what works for you?
Anything works for me. My schedule's wide open.
So do you want to try it's 4 too early? 4:30?
4:30 would be better if we can do that, for- in my sake anyway.
4:30.
And then there's two things I wanna make sure we don't forget about. We talked about snowmobiles, and I saw it on Facebook now.
Yeah, David and I had a brief, I know the town's position in the policy right now. I think I'm gonna get together with, the Drift Riders Club that I belong to and invite all the Facebook warriors to give me their input. And if there's anything significant that comes out, then I'll bring that back.
So you'll take care of that. And at the next,
They can ride along the side of the road now.
but it's a matter of leaving enough snow so it doesn't chew up the road. And is that doable? That's something that the highway department would have to make.
And we have to, we're gonna need.
A lot of places do it.
We're gonna need DOT approval. Well, as I said to Bud, if they start riding on the side of the road now, they'll pack it down and
Yeah.
it'll be fine. It's when they don't ride until the banks are big that it's a problem.
And then
And
the
we
other,
can always, in many areas, we can use the wing to flatten out an area if that's what we need to
You know
do.
what you're saying, the reason they don't ride into the banks are big is because
There's not enough snow.
there's not enough snow, and the snowmobiling season doesn't open up till pretty much the second week of January.
It's a tricky thing.
Yeah.
We also had signs up and down saying go. last year.
On the side.
Only on the side.
They're talking about on the side.
Did that no, I thought it just said no snowmobile.
Yeah, but then,
Those are put up by the Drift Riders to direct people to the road.
Okay.
We just don't want them on the sidewalks.
So
'cause
you're
they're too
going
up.
to. pursue-
yeah, I'm a member of the Drift Riders. I'll take up action with them. I'll give their guys a call and say, hey, let's have a sit down to an open meeting and get some people in here and see if they have any possible, positive input of something that I can bring back.
I'd be glad to go to that with him.
Yeah, and I don't want,
Parking is not an issue if they park in
No.
a municipal parking lot, right?
it's just, they're all coming from different directions, but Facebook, it's
Yeah.
lack of a better term. It's an ag session. Everybody wants to say their 2 cents, but they don't have a solution.
They probably would like an official statement from.
Yeah,
We told them, we were very upfront with both clubs last year.
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, there was no problem.
And then the only other thing was we were gonna discuss on the next meeting, the agendas for the annual meeting and possibly a handbook or something for new members you were putting through together. Dave.
We have a draft handbook and I've reached out to other villages to see how they do the organization.
February.
Yeah,
February.
I first quarter is what I said.
I'd be glad to help out with that. I think that's something important that we need to address.
Oh, we
With
need,
that and budget,
we
yeah.
need to get it done.
Okay,
But we'll be meeting more often in the first quarter because we will start budget workshops probably in February sometime.
Okay.
So,
okay, thank you.
but you wanted to go into executive session, so you're gonna make a motion.
I motion that we adjourn to executive
If you're
session.
not gonna take any action. after
And no
executive
action.
session, mention that now.
No action.
Yeah. So no action, Lori?
No action.
Then the only other thing I wanted to mention is, I brought this to hand in, but if you like, now that we've hired Mr. St. Martin, I'll just give this to him.
That'd be great.
And then regarding the book, I think ultimately you do need to update the code. But if that isn't gonna be out there for a while, the suggestion would be at some point, let's say you've got 15 of these out there, 10 of them aren't gonna agree. Just wait till they get updated, not everybody gets the pocket park for it. So it might be a good idea to spend money at some point with general code and just give all new guts to these books. Because they're just not gonna, they're not gonna align.
I agree with that. But
Yeah, and then lastly, I didn't realize it's been 27 years, but I just want to say thank you. It's been great. I've been out here my entire life and it's great to be able to represent the village and help be part of the team. It's sometimes been frustrating, but it's been very rewarding. And I will miss it. Thank you for the opportunities.
You know, I mean, it's, get up.
All right.